In The Catcher in the Rye, J.D. Salinger presents a world filtered through the cynical and conflicted mind of Holden Caulfield, a teenager struggling against the hypocrisy and alienation of modern life. Amid his spiritual and emotional turmoil, one character stands out as a figure of clarity, innocence, and hope. His 10-year-old sister, Phoebe Caulfield. While she appears relatively briefly in the novel, Phoebe plays a pivotal role in both the narrative structure and the moral and emotional development of Holden. She functions not only as his confidant and emotional anchor, but also as a symbol of purity, truth, and the possibility of redemption. Role in the narrative. Phoebe Caulfield enters the story through Holden's recollections long before she appears in person. Throughout his wandering narrative, Holden frequently invokes her name, often contrasting her intelligence, honesty, and warmth with the phony world he despises. This repetition establishes Phoebe as an idealized figure, a moral and emotional compass who embodies the qualities Holden feels are lacking in others. When she finally appears midway through the novel, in the intimate domestic setting of their family apartment, she immediately reorients the story from chaos toward intimacy and truth. In narrative terms, Phoebe functions as a catalyst for Holden's moment of clarity. Her dialogue is forthright and unguarded, cutting through Holden's evasions and self-deceptions. When she challenges him, "You don't like anything that's happening," she exposes the hollowness of his rebellion. Unlike the adults or peers who either patronize or misunderstand him, Phoebe forces Holden to confront his aimlessness. Her simplicity and honesty act as a mirror, reflecting Holden's emotional confusion and pointing him toward self-awareness. Moreover, Phoebe's presence propels the story toward its emotional climax. When Holden declares his dream of being the catcher in the rye, saving children from falling off a cliff, a metaphor for losing innocence, Phoebe becomes the immediate object of this desire. She embodies the children he wants to protect. However, in a crucial twist, she later reverses roles. When Holden attempts to run away from the world, it is Phoebe who tries to save him, insisting on accompanying him. This inversion reveals the futility of Holden's fantasy. Innocence cannot be preserved by isolation, nor can one person indefinitely shield another from experience. Symbolic significance. Phoebe represents the unspoiled innocence and authenticity that Holden desperately seeks in a world he views as corrupt and hypocritical. Unlike the adults he condemns or the peers he distrusts, Phoebe is genuine, emotionally transparent, and morally unpretentious. Her actions are motivated by love and understanding rather than self-interest or social performance. For Holden, she is living proof that purity and honesty can still exist. Salinger carefully constructs Phoebe's character to symbolize childhood innocence untainted by the phoniness of adulthood. She inhabits a world of wonder and play, where moral clarity and emotional honesty coexist naturally. For Holden, this quality is sacred. His vision of himself as the catcher in the rye emerges directly from his desire to preserve this kind of innocence, embodied most vividly in Phoebe. However, Salinger's symbolism is not static. Phoebe's innocence is not naivete. She possesses emotional intelligence and moral insight beyond her years. When she confronts Holden's contradictions or challenges his unrealistic notions, she reveals that genuine innocence includes awareness and empathy, not ignorance. Thus, she is not merely a passive emblem of purity, but an active moral agent who mediates between childhood and adulthood. Phoebe also symbolizes redemption and spiritual renewal. Holden's relationship with her is his last authentic human connection before his breakdown. When he feels alienated from his schoolmates, teachers, and even his romantic interests, Phoebe's unconditional love provides him with emotional grounding. Her willingness to listen, to forgive, and to care for him offers Holden a glimpse of grace in a disenchanted world. The final scene at the carousel, where he watches Phoebe go around and around, encapsulates this symbolic redemption. Holden realizes that proper protection lies not in catching children before they fall, but in allowing them the freedom to grow, stumble, and learn, just as Phoebe rides freely, reaching for the gold ring. 3 broader implications. Phoebe Caulfield carries broader thematic implications about human growth, innocence, and the passage from childhood to adulthood. Salinger uses her to question whether purity can coexist with experience, and whether sincerity can survive in a morally ambiguous world. Phoebe's character suggests that innocence need not be lost. It can be transformed into compassion and understanding. In this sense, she serves as a bridge between 2 worlds, the innocence of childhood and the complexity of adulthood. While Holden views the adult world as corrupt beyond repair, Phoebe demonstrates that growth does not necessarily mean corruption. Her curiosity, empathy, and moral clarity point toward a more balanced vision of maturity, one that integrates childlike honesty with adult understanding. Phoebe's symbolic function also extends to a critique of post-war American society. The 1950s world depicted in The Catcher in the Rye is one characterized by conformity, materialism, and emotional repression. In this context, Phoebe represents an antidote to cultural phoniness, standing for authenticity and genuine emotional expression. Furthermore, Phoebe's importance extends beyond the personal and into the spiritual and existential realms. Her love is unconditional, her moral sense intuitive, her acceptance of life spontaneous, all qualities that Holden, and indeed modern man, must relearn. Conclusion. Phoebe Caulfield, though a secondary character in terms of page time, stands at the emotional and symbolic center of The Catcher in the Rye. She is Holden's anchor, mirror, and redeemer, a figure through whom Salinger articulates the novel's deepest concerns about innocence, authenticity, and the painful beauty of growing up. Through Phoebe, The Catcher in the Rye achieves its enduring emotional power, the recognition that while innocence may be fragile, it is also the source of humanity's greatest strength, the capacity to love, forgive, and continue turning with the carousel of life.